Yo, what is Crack-a-Lack and Challenger? I'm your host, James Moreland. Today we have an awesome video, and this video's sole purpose is for me showing you my entire fish room and kind of updating and kind of doing a tour. And don't mind the messes over there. But this is a tour. I've wanted to do a tour for the fish room for a long time, and today is finally the day. So enough of me, it's gonna be my fish room. So here we go. Alright, I guess starting from over here, the first tank would be my saltwater tank. There is saltwater currently in the aquarium and also some stone, but that's about it, and some sand. Now over here, this is actually my 3-gallon nano tank. I just have some floating plants. I just wanted to see if I could grow them. I don't know what I might get in here. I might get a new betta fish. I might make it really heavily planted. That's kind of what I wanted to do. But yeah. Now onto my interesting little 10-gallon aquarium. You can see this wonderful little nanoscape, and the tree actually looks really good. I don't know how it looks on camera, but in person, this little tree looks amazing. We actually have our betta fish here, but I have a little shrimp cup, so the food will land in there. I have some Rotala. I also have Rotala over here. I've made a video on this tank. If you missed it, check it out, but I recently did that, so I won't talk too much about this tank. I am breeding crystal shrimp in here, so look forward to that, and we have quite a few nice floating plants in this tank. Ooh, spoilers. So in this tank, this is my breeding for profit tank, and I actually have quite a few guppy fry in here. I'm gonna be making a video on this hang on the back breeder box, so look forward to that, and I actually have a female guppy in there. She's a little stressed out, so she's losing some of her color because she's about to give birth, so she will be added to the aquarium once she does give birth. So you can see here are quite a few snails. There are so many in this tank. And I actually have a new camera. I'll drop the link for it in the description. But yeah, it's pretty awesome. So there are quite a few snails, and there are a lot of plants in here. These aren't like my grow out tank for plants. This is just random plants for the guppies and stuff. I also have a long-finned albino bristlenose pleco in here, one of my favorite fish. Now here is my pea puffer tank. Now I can barely ever see him. I see him every once in a while just because he swims randomly. I do have some ramhorn snails in here that are just eating up on the food, and also some mystery snails in here. So yeah, the pea puffer does eat on the smaller ones. So that's pretty awesome. Now here's one of my tanks that I actually use for blue velvet shrimp, but I haven't really been able to see them. Sadly, I've only seen a couple, but I also have really big adult ramhorn snails in here. So that is really, really cool. And if you can't tell, ramhorn are some of my favorite types of snails. And the plants in here, these are just kind of low light, but I actually do have moss balls up here. And I'm trying to grow these things out. I have some floating plants, but lighting in this tank is kind of bad. So some of them are dying. And you can see all the snails in here. Now in my betta fish tank, it's green. I'm actually putting some tannins in here, but you can see how many ramhorn snails are in this tank. Each tank has different levels of it. And here in this tank, there's actually some mold on the bottom, which is not that good. And I have been doing quite a bit of water changes. And I think I mentioned this earlier, I have this like automatic hose that goes directly to the sink, and the sink down here has been broken for the longest time, and I haven't been able to use cold water. And it was really annoying because I wasn't able to like use cold water, so it'd be really hot water when I pour it out. So I actually fixed it. But yeah, now I can mix the water perfect temperature so it's not too hot, because it would go out like 100 degrees, which is flipping crazy, and it's horrible for fish. So yeah, I have been doing quite a bit of water changes, and one thing that you might notice, hey Velvet, hey Cherry, the actual cool thing is this little hose connects up through here and goes into this tank, and the water lines are exactly the same. So these tanks are actually connected with both water. So what I like to do is drain a lot of water from here and pour it back in here so it doesn't stir up all the snails and stuff. But yeah, in here there aren't that many good plants. They're really low light ones. None of them are planted. I'm actually planning on redoing this tank. I wanted to do that for a long time, so hopefully soon. And you can just see all those snails. Oh my gosh. Now this 20-gallon tall, which is kind of my quarantine tank, but I don't have anything. Earlier I was actually holding some bristlenose pleco. I had 3 or 4 of them, and I actually put them into my 90-gallon, but I actually have some crayfish in here, and they're actually breeding, so that's a cool project I have. Lighting isn't really good for the plants down here, but up top there are so many floating plants that are just growing in, duckweed, sylvinia, large sylvinia, and some other just plants that are just stuck up, so that's pretty awesome. I actually have the first snail I ever got for my aquarium hobby, and he's right there. I do not know how old he is, but he is still kicking it. I don't know what type he is. It's not a nearite snail. I got it, they said something about like gold or something, but he's black, so I don't know if he can't be like a gold color or something, I don't know. So yeah, I also have tons of ramhorn snails. I'm actually getting some blue leopard ramhorn snails soon, so I'm gonna try breeding those out, maybe have them on the site or something. But yeah, it's just a rocky bottom with some lava rock, and some random plants that are in here. For the longest time I only had this light on here, but I decided to just add an incandescent light until I eventually get a new one. Now this pink light you might have seen in all my videos, this is just the pink grow light. So it's really intense lighting, and I have it in this bucket. Now this bucket doesn't look that appealing right now, but what's happening underneath and what's happening in here is really something special. So these plants are actually all melting, and I got them from my tank. I just put clippings, and most of these do not have any snails on them, so it's going to be a pest-free-ish environment. So the plants in here are going to be growing out, and these are just trimmings that have grown so big. The Sylvinia I recently put in here, and they were melting because they weren't used to the lighting, but they will get used to it when they start propagating and start growing and stuff. That's when I'll know that I'm doing something right, hopefully. Alright, so I'm actually going to turn off the pink light because it causes a huge reflection. Alright, so this is my huge 55-gallon tank, and let me go all the way back. So you can see all the glowfish that are in here, a huge amount of floating plants and unrooted plants, and then a huge amount of rooted plants. So this is actually where I grow all my plants and I have on the store, and they're actually quite uprooted right now, and I have to redo that soon. And I have other plants that I'm growing out before I sell them, and I also sell them on eBay and stuff. This is kind of like my breeding for profit tank. I did say I was gonna get either goldfish or betta fish for this tank for a sorority, and I'm probably gonna go with a betta fish sorority just because there are so many plants in here. I might decide and just go out and buy a 40-gallon breeder to grow plants, but I don't know yet. Yeah. And there are snails in here, but I'm trying to get rid of all the snails just so they're kind of pest-free and snail-free. So I'm actually going to be getting a huge amount of assassin snails soon. I don't know when I'm going to have to go out and get them, but yeah. Now you can actually see my Inaccurus, and then you can see my Repens. Now these guys are actually melting right now, and that usually happens whenever you transfer them to different tanks. So you can actually see the green plants on those are actually new growth. And then they'll eventually get red as more iron and other nutrients are added into the tank. And here's this plant. I forgot the name of it. I've been growing it out. I've actually been trimming it, and I've been replanting the trimmings, so hopefully that'll bush out into a huge little collection right here. And I also have a crayfish in here, and it's a really nice crayfish, and it's actually pregnant, and I don't know when it's going to lay its eggs. So whenever that happens, that's going to be really cool. And then I also have some other stems of random plants that I'm just growing out just to see how they grow and stuff and how everything turns out. So I will keep you guys updated on this tank. Now into my big boy, my 90-gallon biggest aquarium I have. Let's start talking about this guy. So look at the amount of floating plants that we have in this tank. Yo, this is absolutely crazy. I even have to sell them to get rid of them because there's so many. I just transfer them to other tanks, and I love looking underneath here at the green surface. It's just really cool. I'm thinking about getting another light, but I don't want to have to spend the money on getting another one. I'd honestly like to get a Fluval Finex light, but I might try just getting another Beamworks light and having both of them on this tank. This tank is fairly balanced, I'd like to say. I haven't really seen a lot of algae, and whenever there is algae, I use the little, I use this little algae system. I made a video on it. I'll have to link it down below. You can see a mystery snail right there on the suction cup. So yeah, this tank is amazing. I made a couple videos on it, and I actually have some moss right there. And then I have other plants. I have tons of driftwood, and I have other plants. You can see stems going up. And I don't even know what plant this is. It shot up a stem a couple days ago. I don't know what it is. I'll have to ask Justin or something. It shot out a stem. I don't know what that is and what it's doing, but it's pretty cool. If you guys know, please hit me up. And we actually have my angelfish, one of my favorite fish right here. Oh my gosh, he is beautiful. If you want me to do a close-up of the fish and not the tanks, comment that down below and I will surely do that. It can just be my fish, I guess. And you can see, oh wait, do you see that snail shell right there? I actually have a collection of snail shells because when snails die, because of whether it be age or if there's assassin snail in the tank, the snails start to float. So here are tons of shells, and I've kind of created a collection. So that is really funny. I mean, it's sad that they died, but I guess it's just the cycle of life, you know? And then I have other plants. Actually, there's an assassin snail right there. There he is. And here are two plecos. There's a pleco right there. There's another pleco. These are just bristlenose. They aren't albino, but when I was at the store, I saw them having little dots in them, and I thought it was so adorable, so I had to get them. And we have some other plants going in here, and we have so much Val. Let me show you this. So Jungle Val actually shoots off little runners. So you can see a runner that went here to here, and then a new one's growing right there, which is amazing. And you can see filtration and everything. One thing I have noticed is that all my fish like to hide in this one corner, and whenever I put my hand by it, they always jump away, and they're always so scared. I try feeding them when they're close to the surface, kind of, so they'll get used to me. So that's cool. And there's a hill stream loach. A lot of people ask me about them just so they're actually doing really well in this tropical tank. So I'm excited. And you can actually see the jungle val runners going across here. Look at this chain of jungle val. Look at that. They keep going literally from the front of the tank right here all the way to the back. And I set up, I think I only started with like 4 stems of jungle val. And this thing is absolutely amazing. It troops over the tank, so I really like that. And the Sun canister filter in this tank is absolutely amazing. It's kept the tank squeaky clean. I did turn off this wave maker. I really like wave makers for multiple reasons, but I noticed that a couple snail shells got caught in there and the snails actually died. And not only that, I came down here one day and one of my shrimp was stuck in the filtration and it was like cut up in there and it was horrible. So once that happened, I had to turn it off. I couldn't have that happen again. So yeah, and you can see a guppy just swimming around, and this tank just looks really, really nice. So I really like this tank. I love using lava rock for my stone. I think that's like my traditional stone that I always go to. For incubation for those mystery snails, I'm actually growing more of them out, and this is a little incubation container. And then I have another one right here. So yeah guys, that is it for the video. I hope you enjoyed. Look at these stuffed animal fish. I'm gonna add them to the store soon. But yeah, I will catch you all on the flippity flop. See you all later. I hope you enjoyed this video. It was a lot of fun. I showed you all my tanks, and hopefully I'll get more tanks and more tanks and more tanks and more tanks. I hope you have a good holidays, and if you're watching this on New Year's Eve or New Year's, or Happy New Year 2018. I should get it.
I got tons of soul on my true collectible. Famous, so famous, #1 desirable. I do what I want when I want and how I want it.